I grew up in a musical family, so naturally I delved into the arts. Theater, band, and choir were staples in my life growing up. By the time I reached high school in 1997, the typical conversation was, are we having marching band this year or is the funding been cut? Many people will argue that music is truly important to the development of our youth. Music helps improve in these four major areas: language development, increased IQ, and spatial temporal skills, and improved test scores. I'm going to read you an excerpt from a PBS article on the benefits of music education by Laura Lewis Brown. Research has found that music facilitates learning in other subjects and enhances skills that children inevitably use in other areas. A music-rich experience for children of singing, listening, and moving has really bringing a very serious benefit to children as they progress into a more formal learning. Making music involves more than voice or fingers playing an instrument. A child learning about music has to tap into multiple skill sets, often simultaneously. For instance, people use their ears and their eyes, as well as large and small muscles, says Kenneth Martin, co-founder of Music Together, an early childhood music development program for infants through kindergarteners that involve parents or caregivers in the classes. Music learning supports all learning. Not that Mozart makes you smarter, but it's a very intriguing, stimulating pastime or activity, Martin says. But one thing that we all have to remember is to not oversell the fact that music makes you smart. In many cases, that's not the case. What experts are saying is that making music can help improve those skills in those areas. If you are or ever were a musician, you know that music as a whole is an outlet. It can be a creative outlet and a physical outlet. It can and is for many young adults an escape from the pain or the trials of everyday life. It also gives children who are non-athletic or even athletic for that matter a place to belong. It kind of teaches them what it means to interact as a group and learn how to be a piece of something larger. You have all of these people sitting playing in instruments. Sometimes they're the same instruments, and usually they're different instruments. Learning how to make one sound together, and that, quite frankly, is an art to try to be able to make that happen. In my research, I remembered a story that my brother had told me about a speech that Dr. Jack Stamp, who is the head of the music department at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, gave in 2000 about why music matters. And this was really in the beginning of when music was being cut from schools and that whole conversation was happening. I couldn't find anything better than what Dr. Stamp had to say, so I want to read you what he had to say, because it really embraces everything that all of us think about music education and why it shouldn't be cut and why it exists today. He said, you have to realize that music is one of the few things these students do that use both sides of the brain. The left side of the brain is dealing with all the technical stuff, and you see they're reading a foreign language, really. So this really develops language skills and reading skills because they're reading this foreign language. They're turning this code into what someone once told me. They're turning something that's black and white into something that's beautiful colors. That's the one thing they do. And the other technical side, they're dividing. They're doing math the whole time. How long is this note? The durations are all fractional. They're dealing with that all the time. They're dealing with technical aspects of their instrument, what fingers to put down, also their embouchure is shaped to make a sound. How much more than that? Much more than that. They're learning if they're playing in tune or not. Are they playing in the right style? In other words, are they playing the notes short enough, long enough, connected enough, loud enough, soft enough? Now, we're not even going to deal with all those aspects. We're going to deal with one aspect, right and wrong. So what we're going to do is demonstrate what the band would sound like on a small passage if we were operating somewhere between 90 and 95%. Because of the odd number of notes, some of them are actually above 95, and some of them are around 90. But we're going to play for you just a section of the song Shenandoah. Dr. Stamp says, with his great apologies to Frank Ticcielli, who is the composer of the song. They're going to play a short section, and they'll play it correctly, and they'll play it for you at 95%, which in most academic classes is an A. So Dr. Stamp goes on to play the song correctly. Then he says, okay guys, now we're going to play it 94%. He plays the musical selections again with, the incorrect notes. The band finishes, and for that, he says, you get an A. Except in music. He says, music demands perfection. Not that music says you have to be perfect, but when you play that song, it has to be perfect. And you have to go back and do all of those things that Dr. Stamp said, using your left side of the brain and your right side of the brain, and make everything work together to put out this beautiful melody. It at times is challenging, but the reward is much more. I'd like to tell you a bit about my family and what music education had meant to us. My brothers and I all grew up knowing that music was more than a hobby in our lives. By the time we were all in high school, were eating, sleeping, and breathing music. By the time I turned 21, I was singing semi-professionally in a Christian rock band. My 15-year-old brother, who at that point had become somewhat of a drumming genius, as we like to refer to him, was playing in the same band. By the time, though, my brother graduated high school, the music at our high school was back in full swing, including students participating in district, regional, and national band festivals. By the end of my brother's high school career, he was awarded the John Philip Sousa Award, which is awarded to one student per high school per year. Because of this award, my brother was then awarded a $10,000 per year grant at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He began attending in the fall of 2008. And by the fall of 2012, all of the higher education music grants in the state of Pennsylvania had been cut. After 3 years of school and extremely hard work, my brother was faced with the decision of whether or not he would stay in school. He decided that he could take out loans and stay in school. Later that same year, another turn came. The head professor in the music program sat down with all of the students who were going to be graduating in the spring and said to them, I have good news for you and I've got bad news for you. The good news was that they were getting ready to graduate, and their lives as professionals in the music world were getting ready to begin. The bad news was, in the entire state of Pennsylvania, there were currently 15 open music director positions, and my brother's class alone had 20 students. His professor then made him listen to the speech that I had quoted earlier, and gave them an understanding of why music matters, and told them that they should have hope, and that they should have faith that the situation would be able to change. That if they did everything they could for music education and were advocates of it, that he knew that these group of people would be able to change music education for the better. I pasted a link in the outline that I emailed for everyone to watch because it is an unbelievable speech and everyone needs to hear it once. This is where my story has led us. The repercussions of cutting music education in our schools. No place for cutting music education in the primary schools, elementary, middle, and high school has deeply affected where higher education students who are graduates of music programs can go. they no longer can be music teachers in those schools because there are no positions available, or there are 200 students, 200 adults fighting for one position at one high school. And this is forcing those students to go into other outlets when teaching is really their passion.